All right, y'all. All right, y'all. I'm making this one for a very few I will tell a story right now. Several hours ago, I emailed 3 of my teachers. One of them doesn't know that they're my teacher, but that's their fault. It's not mine. Now, I explained to them, first of all, that I have reason to believe that the whatever the technical term is, the share ratio on my 2 YouTube channels is 1/3. So typically, we might believe, if we have reason to believe, that a very impressive share rate might be 5%. So 5% of the total page views on a YouTube channel, if 5% of the people responsible for pressing that play button, if 5% of those people then press the share button and forward it to a friend, if 5 out of 100 people do that, I guess that's considered quite excellent. I mean, like in the average sense, I don't know, we're talking about extreme generalities here, right? Okay, mine is 30%. Out of 1,500 page views on one of the channels, I didn't even do both the channels. This is just 1,500 page views on one of my YouTube channels, the George Boulos Institute for Advanced Saturday Night Live one, which I guess is this one. Roughly 1,500 page views and roughly 500 shares. Though nevertheless, you will see there are maybe 1 or 2 likes on both my channels in total out of hundreds of videos. And the comments are on a par, maybe 2 comments. And these comments, you know, they took a day for me, they took a full day out of my life to process. And I responded and I thought through and I even discussed the comment, right? So the statistics on my channels, given the types of restrictions that I've set up that are all there, right, that I'm well aware of, you can see in itself, this channel packs a fucking wallop. It packs a fucking wallop. And it more represents the way the internet might once have been used, not as a medium for bad behavior, but as a prosthesis to extend knowledge. So I told these 3 teachers, I said, and this is on a previous video, I said, okay, here's this link. I recorded this with you 3 in mind. And I'm only sending it to you 3. So of that video, the substance of which is not insignificant. It's not as though, it's not one of these where I start playing house tracks I like. No. Something with a very straightforward political import. And I said, dear teachers, I won't share this with anybody except you three. And therefore, and I articulated a bit about how the results from my page work and my understanding of the data that I'm looking at, which could be very wrong. I'm not a mathematician, and sometimes if I'm trying to calculate in my mind a percentage of something that was already derived as a percentage, and I'm trying to do that in my mind, I start getting lost. Now, if you're a math teacher, you say, well, why don't you just write it down? Those ratios, they're simple. Well, yeah. Yeah, sometimes I do that, and sometimes it's quite helpful. But what I'm interested in myself is spoken, real-time, empirical, first principles inquiry. So, actual thinking on your toes. No notes. What are you going to do with the notes? Oh, it's going to break your concentration. The whole point is you stay within one massive redel, R-E-D-E-L. Whether that means image or rule, no. Which is which? Verfahren is rule. Redel is image. Don't confuse it with Reda. R-E-D-E? No. Redel. So R-E-D-E-L, that's Kant. Reda, that's more Heidegger. Okay. So, from this experiment, that previous video where I tell three teachers that you're the only three that get this. That you're the only three that I'm intentionally sending it to. Because otherwise, nobody's going to find my shit. It's completely random. There are no identifiable categories on any exterior surface of my thing. If you start listening to me and you don't know I'm a philosopher, you think, oh, this guy's crazy, right? Right. So, and then the titles of all these things are like very general or very specific, and there's no rhyme or reason to any of it. And all the video links are different. So the algorithm literally whether literal or figurative or metaphorical, after a year of experimentation, I believe I have some evidence to the effect that I'm relatively invisible here. Except for people that I send myself to, and you for whatever reason, you're bored off your ass. You think, well, is Dimitri still okay, or did he really lose it this time? Yeah? Now, I'm doing something similar here, but I won't formalize it. I won't put it to you in the second person like I'm putting you on the spot and say, this is game theoretic reasoning and it's high stakes political drama. No, that's I think a good way of highlighting the difference also between rhetorical tone in spoken discourse as opposed to email or text. Because the previous message that I'm referring to that I sent to these three instructors, I don't even know how much the three of them like me at all. I mean, even though there's two of them that know me fairly well. You know, in the past year, I've been confrontational, annoying, disrespectful, insulting, probably intimidating, and scary, all at once, to my teachers, people that I have, for whom I have no higher opinion of anybody in the world than my teachers. And if I keep hanging around you and keep bothering you, it means that I think that you're like my best teachers. So these words here, because also I have rhetorical affect and I look like a clown and all this, right? And I have signifiers, you know, creating a lot of cognitive dissonance, right? You don't get that from reading a text or an email. And you three teachers, you know me so little on the personal basis, you don't really know how to judge whether I am okay, health-wise. It's because you never asked me any questions. You never became my friend, like you never had an interest in my philosophy. You were perfectly content to teach me everything about your philosophy, and you just didn't give a good goddamn about anything that I had to say. You just behaved as though anything out of my mouth was perfectly well worth ignoring. James Higginbotham is really the only one that at least 40% of the time it would register in his mind what the question was that I was asking him. Very few philosophy instructors or students have been responsive to me. And I used to not even notice. And over the past recent years, I really start to notice it because of the poor shape of our country. And I started realizing that very little of any of that is due to something that I did wrong. Because as we find out now, I'm at least a passably average philosopher. There's no question about that. I mean, in the formal academic institutional sense. Because I know that I'm capable of giving a lecture on things that I have given lectures on these channels. Lectures that I myself think are far superior to plenty of other professors that I've listened to discuss the same subject matter. So now, my life starts looking like a kind of empirical data point about gatekeeping and elitism in American academia over the past 30 years, at least. And that makes me pretty sympathetic to this. Potentially. Unless pure reason will defend itself. Now, since I've given everybody ample opportunity to respond to my cues and signals, and despite that maybe some of my videos do get shared, I don't get any responses other than the ones that I've mentioned. So you see, without any real second-person empirical logic to keep me grounded in where I stand in society, I have to do it solipsistically in the abstract, right? I have to make a fake ersatz dialectic with the world, but with myself, but with you, but with the YouTube channel, but What am I talking about right now? Somehow, nobody in this country seems to understand where the limits of reason are. In the current situation, where will reason bottom out? Where is it that reason steps in and says no to force and coercion? Absolutely. What is it that's happening in a society where masked agents can drag pregnant ladies on the asphalt, not one, not two, but many, I have seen with my own eyes, and drive SUV slowly over the legs of another human while they are screaming and yelling for yelling for dear life, and they are screaming bloody murder? And you mean to tell me that the pantheon of pure reason in this country still allows it to happen? Those legs that are being crushed by that SUV, those are the legs of philosophy professors. They're on our doorstep. So rather than scolding you, which I don't know, I'm trying to move past that, because it's stupid for a student to scold the teacher, especially when the student is a fucking, whatever I am. Ragamuffin, rapscallion, whippersnapper. How about that? Is that a good description for me? I guess I'm not a ragamuffin because that's a chunk of solid silver. I don't know how much it weighs. It's pretty hefty. I don't know what the price of silver is. My jeweler told me that it went up over the past weeks. This is pure reason. I bind my life to it. I am pure reason. This person, this human, this specific, instantiated particular, singular particular, this is the limit. I'm sorry I have to frame it this way, in such grandiose terms. I feel like, you're making an ass out of me. You guys can do it and it won't be grandiose. Some fucking idiot off the street does it like me, and it's like, whoa, dude. What's up with the megalomania? Why don't we ask that to our president, okay? Don't look at me and ask about my well-being, okay? From my perspective, no individual human should be worried about the legitimacy of the words out of another human's mouth. You should take seriously, equally, the words out of the mouth of any person on the street, homeless person on the street, equally is serious as the words of Gottlob Frege or Jacques Derrida. Yes, that's an ideal. That's like a regulative ideal. I'm an idealist. It's hard to do, but that's the ideal. We have no worry about the legitimacy of anybody's speech except supporters of the U.S. government now. And it is their speech which will be demolished right quick by the voice of pure dialectical reason. Now, this should strike you as both encouraging and unnerving, because it means at once you professors have a buffer. You have a buffer. Point to me. That's encouraging from your side. I mean, if I'm a buffer, I don't know. I'm nothing. Point to me, and then you can at least distract somebody. Point to me, persecute me. If they come to you and they say, "Are you a philosopher?" You go to that guy. Watch look at his shit. He's fucking nuts. Why are you coming after me? And he's got 10 times more money than I do. Oh, maybe that. I don't know whose favor that would work in, mine or yours. And so when I say that this is pure reason, right? You know what I mean. You know what the word gigantomachia means. I take all comers. Doesn't matter. The discourse is done. Not openness and discourse. In bad faith discourse, total destruction. In good faith discourse, human progress. How about that? The declaration of pure reason is simple. It simply says, I am the voice of reason, and there is no more force and coercion outside of reason. It is over. And if anybody tells you otherwise, you send them here. They know leave their weapons at home. They can only bring their voice and their mind, and we will allow some written materials too. That's fine. I don't care if you use notes. I don't need to use notes. I'll mop the floor with anybody 1,000 times, even before I'm halfway awake in the morning. Because the United States is illiterate.